Hello my lovely, welcome to a monthly video where I review how the journal and planner system that I created at the beginning of the year is going, what's working, what's not working, what I'm liking and disliking, to give you some ideas on how to use your journal and planners if you're trying to create a system. Plus I will share with you some tips along the way if you're trying to journal more consistently. And if you're trying to create a journal and planner system, make sure to watch my other video next where I guide you through how to think through and create a system that works for you. So if you're ready, let's just jump right in. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Seppi and I share with you simple and practical tips to live a happier life. And I love to share my love of journaling and planning because it helps me a lot. So I'm excited to do this monthly series where I review all the journals and planners that I have been using. And the first thing that I have been loving is my planner. This is a Hobonichi Cousin, and this year, if you saw my lineup video, I decided to use my Hobonichi Cousin as a functional planner. Last year I was trying to do it as my daily journal as well as my daily planning, but this year I decided it's just going to be my functional planner for really just planning. And I have to say I have been loving my Hobonichi Cousin and how I'm using it this year. So I am planning on doing a more in-depth walkthrough of how I'm using my Hobonichi Cousin as a functional planner, but let me just talk through quickly a few of the things that I've really enjoyed about it. So I decided to move my monthly habits tracker from my bullet journal into this because it just makes it a lot easier. I don't have to set it up every single month and it just feels a lot less overwhelming, and I find it really easy. At the end of the day, when I'm checking off my to-do list, I can come in here and check off my habits. It just makes it a lot more easy, and honestly just seeing this is really satisfying. So that is the number one thing that I have to say from the Hobonichi Cousin that I've changed from last year, that I'm doing this year, that I really love. My weekly spreads haven't changed. Oh, let's talk about the monthly spread. The monthly spread as well has not changed. The monthly and weekly are the same, where it's basically my planning. I'm trying to cycle sync my life with my cycle so I can put in the phases of my cycle that I'm in, vacation, anything that is happening. I still want to incorporate creative elements to my planner, which I also really love as well, because one thing that I really wanted to make sure I incorporate this year is a lot more of the fun aspect of journaling that I like, which is, you know, the decoration and aesthetic. And even though it's not that complicated, this does bring me a lot of joy because it's just pleasant to look at. Now, the weekly spreads, again, like I said, they have not changed in terms of it, the formats, in terms of how I'm setting it up. One tip that I would share is once you find a layout or a system that works for you, to keep it simple, A, but also B, to do the same thing over and over again, because it removes the pressure of having to figure out a new layout every single week. So as you can see, for me, this is something I did last year and I'm doing this year as well. My weekly spreads are mostly for planning purposes. I have my to-do list. I have this extra space. I sometimes put meals, sometimes just put like random thoughts or things that I might want to get done. During the week, I put different things that I might need to schedule, like my workouts. I try to be intentional with my morning routine or days I have to go to the office. I like to track my steps because I got a walking pad that I've been really loving. And then every single day, if there's anything that comes to mind during the weekend or the night before that I need to get done the next day, I write at the bottom here. That way, when I'm doing my daily planning, I can revert back to this and remember, oh, today I needed to do this, and I can plan it and organize it accordingly. So this is the weekly spread that I have been using and truly loving. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. It's not filled up, which I'm okay with. I don't like it to be too cluttered, but I've been loving this because it is very functional. So that is another thing that I've been really loving. The other thing that I've incorporated that just makes it easier if you watch my Hobonichi Cousin review is that flipping back and forth between the monthly, the habits tracker, and the daily spreads can become annoying. So I added these brass tabs that I just put for the weekly, the monthly, and then the habits tracker, and it makes it a lot easier to flip back and forth. So that's one tip that I would share with you as well. You can use washi tape to create tabs. You don't have to get these ones as well. You can get a lot of these stickers. There's a lot of different options for you to just create tabs, but having tabs to flip back and forth it makes it a lot easier to maneuver through your planner or your Hobonichi Cousin. The next thing that I have been loving with my Hobonichi Cousin are my daily spreads. Now, I started off the year not really sure how I'm going to use it because, again, if you saw the review of my Hobonichi Cousin from last year, I felt as though the daily pages, if you don't do your daily journaling, it does feel very daunting to to fill out the whole page. And at the beginning, as you can see, I wasn't too sure what to write. I also wanted to use this as a brain dump, a space that I can just write whatever's coming to mind, list or anything else. That way I didn't have an extra journal in my lineup. And in the end, I did find my stride, and now I am obsessed with my daily spreads. Again, I can do a more detailed view on how to use your daily spreads, but this is basically how I'm doing it. I like to have a daily to-do list. I like to separate it from my life, from my business and my self-care. I have a 9-to-5 job and a business that I'm trying to balance out, and I'm also trying to be very mindful of my self-care this year. So what I have been doing is splitting those. These are my recent pages and I'm obsessed with them. My friend Emily gave me this gel pen that she brought for me from Japan, and it's multicolored. It is so much fun to write with. This has brought me a lot of joy, so I'm obsessed with these spreads. But anyway, going back to the daily spreads, basically I split it into 3 things that I have to do for my life. So even if it's like groceries, fold laundry, etc., I write it out. Business things that I want to get done, and self-care habits that I want to do. Yes, I have my self-care, my habit tracker at the beginning, but sometimes it's nice to be reminded of things that I want to be doing as well, or just tracking how much, for example, treadmill that I did. And as well, having a space at the bottom to write different things that come up during the day that I want to remember. That way, if I want to look back at an idea that I had, that I could just flip back, and they're all easily accessible here at the bottom. And then on this side, I've been loving putting a different little affirmation or reminder in the morning for the different mindset shifts that I'm trying to have. And then what I've been doing is, yes, I have my running to-do list for the day, and then trying to split it up morning, afternoon, and evening. That way in my brain, it just helps me feel a bit less overwhelmed with everything I have to get done, to just focus on, okay, let's focus on the first couple of hours of the day. What do I have to get done? And for me to feel as though, okay, I am getting things done. Yes, reading in bed, or organizing my day, or making the bed, or changing into clothes during the day and the morning might not seem like a big deal, but for me, I find that it is encouraging for me to remember, okay, I am doing small things throughout the day, and just to focus on those things. So splitting up my to-do list morning, afternoon, and evening has been really fun, and this is how I fill up this side. And I also just love that I'm incorporating more creative aspects of journaling that I love, like calligraphy, and I'm trying to learn how to doodle and just decorating them. So I have been really, really enjoying my daily spreads. And one thing that I have been doing that I got from Julie's plans is doing a weekly recap. Even though usually I do a weekly self-reflection, a weekly recap feels a little less daunting and a little bit more easygoing, where I just write down a few of the highlights or lessons or anything good that happened during the week. I do that on Saturdays or on the Sunday spread because I don't usually schedule a lot. So that's been a really fun addition as well that I have been enjoying. That way I feel as though the pages are not going to waste. So this is how I've been using my Hobonichi Cousin, and I have been really, really loving it. Another new love obsession that I've had this year is this B6 journal. So like I said, I have been really loving my journal and planner system this year, so I really hope you can get some ideas and inspiration on how to update yours or improve yours. So in the past, my Hobonichi Cousin had my planning and my daily journaling in it, and I decided this year that I wanted to separate it just to give myself a little bit more space to separate journaling and planning. And I decided to use this B6 journal from Leuchtturm instead of the Hobonichi Cousin, and in the past I was always using just an A5 journal. So the size is different and it doesn't seem that significant. However, I have to say that I have been loving this size for just journaling. Why? Because I feel as though the pages feel a lot less overwhelming to fill out. Some days it's half a page, some days it's 2 pages. And also I find it a lot more satisfying to just see pages filled with writing. I don't know what it is, but I just feel really happy looking at these filled up pages with words and stuff. So I have been loving this so much. And what I decided to do just as like a fun little thing is that every month I will use a different ink color from my fountain pens. So this month I decided to start with matching it with the cover with purple. I've been using the Coeco Sport with the Diamine, I think lavender ink. I'll leave more of the information in the description box, but this has just brought me a lot of joy. So what I will say is number one, having a smaller journal size is a lot less overwhelming and I would highly recommend it. Number two, having a journal just dedicated to writing has also been a lot more joyful. And number three, I have to say the B6 line journal has also been really great. I'm used to writing in a dot grid journal, but this has been really, really fun. So I highly, highly recommend it. And if you want 20% off any of the Leuchtturm products, whether it is the bullet journal, the dot grid journal, the planner, or even the B6, which honestly, I can't even tell you. I recommend it to a few friends and they have done it as well and they have loved it. And I also gifted it to a few of my sisters and my friends and stuff. So if you want to pick up any of these Leuchtturm journals, you can use code HAPPY20 at checkout on the Leuchtturm Canada website. I will leave the information in the description box below. Moving on to my journal number 3 is my bullet journal, which is dedicated to my goals, my vision for the year, tracking books and good memories, and using it as for creative spreads. So it's a mix of goals and planning and creativity. I did a full flip through already in another video if you want to watch that. And I have really been enjoying it. I have been incorporating a lot more creative spreads. I've been using the Canon IV2 printer as well, which has made it really fun to create spreads and to do memory keeping as well. So number one, I have to say I have really enjoyed this journal overall. I used to use just the A5 medium dot grid journal from Leuchtturm, which I still don't have any problems with. I still love it. However, I've been doing the actual bullet journal, and I have to say the quality of the paper and just the overall feeling of it is a lot more luxurious for not that much more expensive. So I do recommend this one over the A5 medium journal. I have been tracking the books that I'm reading as well, the coffee shops I'm going to, which will relate to my travels notebook afterwards. I've been tracking goals. I've been doing smaller vision boards and doing a lot more incorporating, like I said, creative spreads, which has been really fun. Memory keeping with pictures, my goals and writing down my dreams and journaling on that. Reflecting on things like feminine energy. This is something I like to do. It's almost like a mind map that I want to keep adding, and like I'm going to add pictures to this as well. Again, creative spreads. I've really been enjoying doing creative spreads, but combining it with journaling and things that are important to me. This is a spread that I made with the things that my friend Emily gifted me from Japan. She went on a trip and she brought me these really beautiful gifts, writing down my intentions for the full moon ceremony. So I have been really loving the journal itself. I have been loving incorporating journaling, goal setting, and more creative spreads, because not only am I using my stationery and ephemera and stash, but it also gives me space to just go back to the basics of why I started to journal and why I love to journal to begin with. And it's just been a really fun process, and I love that I'm already at page 50 and it's only month number 1. So that's encouraging for me to know that I can finish this journal this year, because I didn't finish mine last year. So I'm very excited about that. So highly recommend this journal overall as well. And I have been loving my bullet journal this year. So let's move on to bullet journal number 2, another Leuchtturm, but this is the 120 GSM journal. So the paper is really beautiful. I think it's the same one as the bullet journal, especially if you use fountain pens or you like to stick things in it. It does feel like it can handle a lot more, and it really doesn't bleed through. Anyway, so I've been loving this journal overall. This is a journal that I added after my planner lineup was set up. I added it early on in the year because I realized that I like to write. I like to write things sometimes before I type it on the computer, and this is my journal dedicated to my business, because I like to write down things. If an idea comes to mind, I like to brain dump it. So I always start with having a vision. So that's my inspired goal setting process that I will share with you more in the future. But all that to say, I have been loving having a journal just for my business, because again, I love writing. I love having things on paper. I love the tactility of it. It just feels a lot more enjoyable. And then wanting to actually develop the ideas, then I head over to my laptop. But it's been really fun to have a space where I can just write down my ideas for different projects that I have, that I'm slowly developing, things I need to get done throughout the year, just like having a brain dump by category. It just helps me organize my brain. And yeah, I've been loving it. So I'm just mentioning it because it was not in my 2024 planner lineup. So I did end up adding it. It was intentional. It was done mindfully. And anyways, I've been enjoying it a lot, having a separate space for my creativity, my business. If you've lost track, we're at journal number 5, and this is my travels notebook. I have been loving it. However, I have been questioning whether I like the size of it. It's quite narrow and long, so I find it's a little bit of an awkward size when you're used to something wider. So that's to be determined if I'm going to move over to a passport down the line or whatnot. But for now, I'm still going to keep it. The other thing I've been loving is I have been loving these little charms and additions. And this one was gifted again from Emily from Japan. So having these cute little additions to make the journal just a little bit more unique has been really fun. So my travels notebook, I have 3 inserts, and it is my creative journal dedicated to traveling, coffee spreads, and my reading journal. So one of my goals is always to go and try new coffee shops because I live in Montreal and the coffee scene is great. So I like going to coffee shops in my free time, and it's been fun to make creative spreads with the coffee shops I've been going to using my IV printer and just creating spreads. Now I still have a few that I have to add in. I haven't had the time to sit down and do it, but this is my coffee journal insert and buying random stickers about coffee that I find along the way. The next insert is for my books. I also want to create a lot more space to slow down, do things that I love, and I love reading. And I thought it'd be fun to do a reading journal so I can track the books that I'm reading every single year. Again, using my Canon IV2 printer, which I have been loving as well. But this has been a really fun way to track what I'm reading, and I kept the categories and how I'm going to track each book very simple. Title, author, just a simple rating and a summary. I would have liked to have a stamp, but I didn't get one just yet. So for now, we're going to rate it on 10. I just created the same outline for the next few pages. That way it's easy for me to fill out. So I've been loving this as well because it's a fun way to encourage me to read, but also to see how much I've actually read and to remember the books that I have read throughout the year. And finally, the last insert, maybe I should put it at the back, but this is my traveling insert. And I want to sit down and batch create the past trips that I've had. I did a really fun trip to Paris, one to New York, and a few other little trips here and there I want to create spreads with. So I haven't filled out this journal just yet because it feels a little daunting, but I still think it's a fun way to do memory keeping / scrapbooking. So overall, I think the concept is fun, to be determined if I like this size, but I do enjoy it, and I do feel it's a really enjoyable process to sit down with my travels notebook and just look at it. It's a really nice experience to sit down with this journal overall. The last journal that I want to mention is just an honorable mention, is the change journal that I picked up from Leuchtturm, which is a pre-filled out journal to help you make changes in your life for different areas of your life, and it's supposed to take less than 5 minutes. I have started already using it because it's not something that I usually do. I create my own journal prompts and I have my own worksheets in my Etsy shop as well. So I'm used to journaling and just creating my own system. So it's been fun to have a system that's already preset for me to just sit down and fill out. It does take only 3 to 5 minutes every single day. I haven't done it every single day. I still plan on working through it because I think it's cool, to have something that's already pre-set up for you to just sit down and fill up. I also think that the concept of it is really great. It's to make different changes in your life. So I always like to learn personal development tools and different ways to approach my personal development. So I think that aspect, I also want to learn more about it and try something different. So let me know if you're interested in me doing a walkthrough of the change journal. That's something I'm going to continue using and do a full review of it soon. That way, if you've been thinking about having a journal that's already set up that can help you with your personal development, then this could be helpful for you. So keep an eye out for that video as well. Let me know if you want a more detailed flip through next month of my review of my journal and planner system, or if you like this kind of format where I talk through each of them, some of the things I've loved, and so you can see a little bit of the spreads as well. And let me know, more importantly, what journal and or planner have you been enjoying this month? Why? What do you love about your system? Or maybe what are your struggles with your system? Maybe I can help you out because clearly I love to journal and I love spreading the love of journaling as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe as I'm trying to grow this channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you a lot of love. Bye for now.